In the last class we started off with earthquake, and we've seen what happens when the earthquake occurs, what amount of damage takes place, and how earthquake actually occurs. So we talked about the various layers of the earth, and we've seen that the top layer of the earth, which is also called as a crust, that is not in one single piece, okay, but it is actually cracked in between. These pieces are actually at some areas they are I would say they are called fault zones. Fault zones means in some of the areas they are not connected properly, they are very weak. So a sudden shaking or a sudden trembling initiate that shaking movement. Okay, so it happens only for a very short interval of time, and it is called earthquake. So it doesn't happen for a long time, it only happens for few seconds. Okay, and how does this shaking takes place? See, there are two ways in which the shaking can take place. First is that see, how do you brush your teeth? I told you this is called brush passing. So the brush only goes over your teeth. So similarly, the two plates, they are held parallel to each other, something like this, same level. They are held parallel to each other and they rub against each other. So that's called brush passing, isn't it? And then there is another kind of movement which takes place, in which, look at this, the second one. What happens is one layer goes under and above the other layer. So that is also called as shaking. Sometimes they just brush past each other, something like this, what I have shown here. So any kind of movement may take place, and when this happens, we say that earthquake has occurred. Okay, so how does it occur? I am sure all of you must have understood. These points are very important. First point is that the outer layer of the earth is not in one single piece, but it is in many pieces, and these pieces are called as fragments. Okay, and each of these fragments is, you may say, is one plate. Okay, and these plates sometimes end up moving or shaking, and this shaking happens because inside this molten lava within the earth, that starts shaking. So when this starts shaking, even the top layer also starts shaking, which we call earthquake. So this is called earthquake. So we were talking about the seismic zone. Okay, then we have various areas where those areas are very prone to earthquake, like Kashmir, like Nepal, like Japan, like within India, the run of Kutch, Rajasthan, then the whole of northeast. Okay, these are the seismic zone. You need not remember all of them, but just learn at least 2 to 3 of them. Now, what is that instrument with which we measure earthquake? So this instrument is called as Richter scale. Okay, and so we have we have gradings. Suppose if it is between 0 to somewhere close to 3, then it is called as very very even less than moderate, very low intensity. Okay, from 4, 5 and 6 it is moderate means somewhere in between, but 7 and above it is very very destructive. So 7 is the margin. If it is 7 and it is above, then it is very very strong, means more damage it is likely to cause. If it is 4, 5 and 6, that means it is moderate, means okay, it may cause damage, it may not also at times. But 0 to 3 means sometimes you will not even feel, even till 4 also sometimes you may not feel the shaking. Okay, so above 7 is strong and below 3 is very very weak. Okay, and what is that scale which tells us that it is weak, it is moderate, it is strong? It is called as this Richter scale. Now suppose from this point that you see where I am moving my cursor, okay, suppose at this point the seismic waves originated. They will start to develop like this, from the core to the upper surface, to the top layer of the earth. So they come from the core and then these waves travel to the surface of the earth. So this point where the seismic wave originates, it is called the focus of the earthquake. Okay, focus means that is the area where it originated, and because of this area Now suppose the seismic waves travels and comes here on the surface. So this is the point where you will actually feel the shaking. People staying over here, they will feel at the actual shaking of the earth. So that point is called as the epicenter. Okay, focus is within the surface of the earth from where the seismic wave started, but epicenter is the point on the surface of the earth, on the top layer of the earth, that city, that area where people felt the shaking of the earth, isn't it? Are these two terms clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
Fine, very good.
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
okay, good. Okay, so this is the instrument that you see here is called a seismograph. Okay, seismograph is the instrument which is used to record the intensity of the earthquake. What is the construction of seismograph? This is the entire setup that you see here. There is a weight which is hanging here. That weight is just to make it a little more steady, and below that weight you have a pen, a needle, and it is kept on ground. Okay, so when the earth starts shaking because of earthquake, so the needle will also start shaking. When the needle starts shaking, it will make how the ECG comes. So similar to that ECG, the graph will be presented, and this cylinder will keep moving. The cylinder is actually rotating, and over this cylinder you have a graph. So when the earthquake occurs, then the needle will start moving, will start shaking. This needle will actually be presenting or making some kind of zigzag markings on this graph. So later will be studied. So this scale is called as Richter scale. So what is that instrument which is used to record the intensity of the earthquake? It is seismograph. And what is that scale which determines whether it is low, moderate or high intensity? It is the Richter scale.
Richter scale.
Fine. So you all know that the first damage which is very very visible whenever earthquake occurs is the damage to the buildings, the damage to the bridges, dams and people. Okay, also great loss to life and property. It can also cause floods, it can cause landslides, it can also cause tsunamis to occur. What is this picture talking about? What is this? On the right hand
Landslide.
landslide.
Ma'am,
Yeah. Tsunami and landslide. Very good. Okay, so this is how the landslide will look like. So earthquake can cause all these damage to the property, building. Now how do you protect yourself from earthquake? What you should do is, have you seen generally in mountainous regions, have you seen the houses? They are generally not made up of cement and bricks, but they're made up wood, basically very very light material. So, and they use mud or wood to make their houses. Can anyone tell me what is the reason for making the houses with wood?
Then because in the mountainous region, the earthquake felt more.
Yeah,
And when to
yeah.
protect
Oh,
they made the houses of wood and mud.
okay, very good. Because in the mountainous region, generally they see a lot of landslides happening. Not exactly earthquake, but you can say a lot of landslides keep happening. Maybe because of earthquake, maybe because of more rain. So if you make the houses with cement and brick and all, and for some reason if they fall off, then there will be a lot of damage and a lot of lives will be lost. So they try and make it with wood, with mud and with very light material, so that even if it falls off also, it will not cause so much of damage or loss of life. It is preferable that the houses are to be made up of mud and wood. Okay, and keep the roofs as light as possible. Cupboards and shelves are fixed to the wall, but all those shelves and cupboards which are fixed in the wall, they are not likely to cause any more damage. Okay, so these are few things that we have to take care when we build our houses in some regions or in certain zones which are faulty or seismic zones. How do you protect yourself? If you are at home, you have to take shelter under a strong table, because under a table you are likely to be more safe. You have to stay away from any tall buildings or any heavy object which is likely to fall in the case of earthquake. So better be far from any tall buildings or heavy objects. Suppose if you are inside your house and for some reason you are not able to move out. Immediately what you have to do is you have to get under your bed and keep the pillow over your head so that at least your head will be safe. Fine. Suppose you are in class, in school. What will you do? You will take your bag, put it on your head and get under your desks. Isn't it? So that is one step, immediate step that you have to do if you are in a school and the earthquake actually occurs at that point of time. But what will you do if you're outside? If you're outside, it is very obvious that you have to be away from any buildings, any trees or any kind of power lines. Suppose if there is any electric power line which is flowing, just don't stand under that power line. Just get away from all these things. And drop to the ground means just go as close to the ground as possible and away. In an open ground is more preferable in these cases. Okay. Now if you are in the car or a bus, do not come out. Do not come out. You're safe when you are in the car. Okay. So these are the few steps which you have to do if you're outside and if you're inside your house. Now that finishes the chapter. So now we move on to the exercise questions. All of you can now unmute yourself so that we can discuss the questions. So the first question, which of the following cannot be charged by friction? A plastic scale,
A copper rod.
Inflated balloon and woolen cloth. A copper rod, obviously that you cannot charge by friction. Rest all things, balloon and any woolen cloth, they can be charged, but a copper rod cannot be charged just by rubbing it or by friction. Okay, when a glass rod is rubbed with a piece of silk cloth, suppose you have a glass rod, you rub it with a silk cloth, so the rod will become positively charged while the silk cloth has a negative charge. Okay, so B is the answer. B is the answer here. Like charges attract each other. True and false?
False.
False.
Okay, next.
Lightning conductor cannot protect a building from lightning. False.
False. Very good.
Earthquakes can be predicted in advance. False.
Okay, but we cannot predict the earthquake in advance. No one can predict, in fact. So why do you hear the crackling sound?
Ma'am, when we take out the sweater, the material of the sweater and our body gets rubbed with each other, which produce friction, and due to the friction, the woolen sweater gets charged, which produce the crackling sound.
Very good. That is the exact reason. So, see, if you're just wearing and it's standing, nothing will happen. But when you're rubbing your sweater against your body, friction takes place, and it is because of the friction that these charges actually get rubbed against each other. Any two charges coming in contact with each other will produce some kind of crackling sound. So it is because of that friction, because they rub against each other, the body is getting rubbed with the woolen cloth. That's why. Suppose there is a charged body and you touch that charged body with your hand, it loses all the charge. Why? How?
Because when we touch a charged body, it loses its charge due to the process of earthing. Our body is good conductor of electricity and it transfers charges to us.
Okay, very good. Have you all understood what is the reason? See, suppose there is a charged body. Suppose there is a balloon. Suppose there is a balloon which is charged. Your body is not charged. You go and touch the balloon, it will lose all its charge. Now, where does the charge go? When you touch the balloon, all those charges will get transferred onto your body. Okay? So, the balloon will lose all its charges. So, that's why. Okay? Because charges will always flow from a charged body to an uncharged body. That's why it will lose all the charge. Next, question number 6.
Name the scale on which the destructive energy of an earthquake is measured. An earthquake measures 3 on this scale. Would it be recorded by seismograph? Is it likely to cause much damage?
Okay.
The destructive energy of an earthquake is measured by the Richter. The reading of magnitude 3 on the Richter scale would be recorded by seismograph.
Okay.
If Richter scale gives a reading magnitude 3,
Huh?
then the earthquake is not likely to cause much damage.
Okay.
Generally, earthquake of magnitude higher than 5 is considered destructive in nature.
Okay, fine. But is it likely to cause much damage? Then it is not likely to cause so much of damage. I told you, na, 3 and below, no damage, hardly any damage. 3 between 3 to 6 is like moderate damage, and 7 and above will be very high amount of damage. Okay.
The first step is to stay indoor. The second step is do not take bath during lightning, and the third step is do not use electrical appliances.
Very good. Yeah, do not take bath.
Should not carry an umbrella.
Correct. Do not take bath. And if, what kind of position do you have to take if it is lightning or thunder is taking place?
Safe position.
Ma'am, away from lightning.
Yeah, away from lightning.
Place your hands on your
Yeah,
heads between.
Correct.
Ma'am, away from lightning.
Correct. You have to place your head and just sit down like in squat position. You need to know that term, squat position. Okay. You need to know that term, isn't it? To the next question is,
Explain why a charged balloon is repelled by another charged balloon, whereas uncharged balloon is repelled by another charged. Ma'am, when the both charged balloons are of the same charge and same charges, so they both are of positive charge and they both are also negative charge. So
Okay.
then they repel each other.
very good.
Ma'am, if one balloon is charged with positive or negative charge, so another uncharged balloon attracts it.
Very nice. So the question is why a charged balloon is repelled by another charged balloon. Suppose if one charged balloon is positively charged and there is another balloon which is also positively charged. If you bring them together, because both are like charges, both are positive charges, so they will repel each other. Similarly, if you bring one negative charged balloon and another negative charged balloon, what will happen? Again, they will repel each other. But suppose if you bring one uncharged balloon and another is charged balloon, so what is going to happen when you bring? Yeah, they will attract. Why? Because when you bring them together, the charges from the charged balloon will try and transfer onto the uncharged balloon, isn't it?
The weather department has predicted that a thunderstorm is likely to occur on a certain day. Suppose you have to go out on that day, would you carry an umbrella? Explain. No ma'am, I won't carry an umbrella during a thunderstorm, as the thunderstorm is accompanied by lightning and the charges might travel from the clouds
Very good.
to the metal rod of the umbrella, and it might cause an electric shock to me, so it is not safe to carry an umbrella during lightning or
Very
thunderstorm.
nice, very nice. So all of you understood. They are saying that suppose if the weather department has already predicted that there is going to be a thunderstorm on a certain day. So if you go out also, would you like to carry an umbrella? So you will not, because as I already told you that on top of the umbrella you have that metal part. Because it is metal, it is a good conductor of electricity. So there might be a case when there is lightning occurring and it can catch the lightning and it can damage even the umbrella and can cause loss of life for the person who is carrying an umbrella. So by all means, please do not carry any umbrella during any kind of lightning. Especially when it is raining, it is generally fine, but lightning and thunderstorm, they are dangerous. Okay, fine.
Bye ma'am.
Bye beta. Bye.